Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Here Be Dragons. It's me, Steven, John, Nessie, the three dragons back together again. Here we're going to talk about some Star Wars stuff.
Steven, I love that you keep going back to that particular background.
This one, this is one of my favorite shots in all of Star Wars canon. It's
Love
beautiful.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yep. I hope everybody's impressed with the beard.
Yeah,
I don't think it'll last much longer, but I saved it for you guys. So
it's quite nice, John. I approve.
By your beard, you mean Kira, right? That's the beard's name now.
That's not going to work, guys. Okay, I'm just letting you know right now.
Right, because he hasn't bought into it. That's why. Thank you, Dan. One can only hope. But you are getting some beard love.
Good. I wonder if Erin's gonna get the message. She'll be heartbroken if she misses this.
Yeah, It is quite nice. I don't know if she watches this show, but she is a big fan of the beard.
Yeah.
So yeah, ostensibly we're here to talk about Rebels, though. So I don't know how to start this other than to kind of compare it to season 1 of the Clone Wars.
Okay.
And I just watched the whole thing this week. For the first time. John, you've seen it obviously before.
Yep.
Nessie, had you seen it before?
No, I watched it the first time with you this week.
So I'll ask you first then, Nessie. How do you feel after season 1, and how does it hold up to your other Star Wars experience? You know, what's your standalone and then your sort of like larger canon? How you feel?
Well, I was much more impressed with season 1 of Rebels than I was with season 1 of Clone Wars for many reasons. I mean, of course, the animation has gotten. I mean, there's no comparison in that. The voice actors were great. The premise is pretty cool because it's like, you know, you've watched all through the Clone Wars, you watched, you know, through season 7, and this is kind of like picking up after the dust settles, you know, what happens in the 5-year plan, you know.
It's quite some time after.
It's
because it's 15 years after.
15 years. So this is the first generation of kids that have grown up under the boot heel of.
Wasn't Ezra born on Order 66 Day?
No,
Empire Day.
He was born on Empire Day, but that doesn't mean he was born on that.
But he was born near Order 66. So
yeah.
Well, no, I mean he was born on the anniversary of Order 66.
1 year later, because I'm trying, because we know that episode 3 of Star Wars, episode 3, the Revenge of the Sith, is 19 years before the Battle of Yavin. If Ezra's 15,
so about 4 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is it 4 years or 3 years before the Battle of Yavin? It's somewhere right in that ballpark, which means that. Anybody we see from Clone Wars in this show has had a decade and a half of life lived to change them. And I'm really looking forward to that. But I'm sorry, Nessie. I kind of interrupted you. I just wanted to talk about the time setting.
Yeah, well, we were talking about the timeline, and this is like one of those little periods in the history that I hadn't had a lot of information on. You know, this is pre-Rogue One. Post.
Okay, it looks like I was looking it up, and it looks like he probably was born on the Empire Day. But yeah, I hadn't factored in how old he probably is. So that makes it even more sort of, you know, poor kid.
Yeah,
not a great birthday.
The introduction we get to him was kind of reminiscent of pardon me, but Aladdin. I cannot not think of the kid's name, but the entrance when you've got this street kid who's just trying to evade things in this marketplace, grabbing food, grabbing supplies, just the street urchin kid who runs,
Well, it's so
into adventure.
It's so funny because when the show started, I know that a lot of people were saying, "Oh, he kind of looks like Aladdin," and now there's rumors that the guy who played Aladdin in the live action version may actually play the live action version of Ezra. So
that's the kind of vibe that you're getting.
So it all comes full circle.
Very Disney-esque. Dropped you right into the main protagonist world. We're on Lothal, new place, never seen it before, new situation. So it grabbed my attention right away just from a new set piece, and just to see how things have progressed.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, and now I really am glad that we did this the way we did as far as, what order, we decided to go through things, because you guys are entering into this with your sort of experience of Clone Wars having settled. You went through the journey of that show, whereas people who watched this when it premiered were like coming off of the cancellation of Clone Wars and in season 5, and then we got that batch of episodes for season 6, and everybody was kind of like, but this isn't Clone Wars, or give us the rest of Clone Wars. And so I really feel like this show had sort of a lot going against it when it premiered on the air. But it's fun for me to listen to you guys and talking about the opening of the show and being able to give it a fair shake, as opposed to, I think, a lot of people who came into this show.
Yeah, I mean, it's not what I wanted. It is an argument that can be made about a lot of things. We had a conversation about that, John, you and I, just on Zoom about Star Trek.
Yeah.
We'll circle back to that at the mid-roll.
I missed the Star Trek talk.
Did you though? I mean,
yeah, it depends on what version of missed we're going with.
Right. But at any rate, I can understand people like, I want the end of the Clone Wars story because season 6 isn't it. So when they got this, they didn't give it as fair a shake. Whereas Nessie, you and I got the Clone Wars first.
And what's really great is I think that I talked to you guys a lot about how season 7 of Clone Wars to me feels like almost like it's a, it's set up in a backdoor pilot to the Bad Batch, which we'll get to. But also, I was actually really impressed by how much, starting this show again, I think the end of season 7 of Clone Wars was also designed to kind of, even though there's a big gap in time, it does feel like a lead into this show.
Mm-hmm. The story's more cohesive.
Yeah. I haven't even got to my general feelings about it yet, but I definitely had that moment of Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he's pointing when he said Fulcrum. I'm just like, I
really didn't think that detail would stick in your guys' mind, because it's such a quick thing in in the first part of the Siege of Mandalore arc, where it's just setting a reference, a message from Fulcrum. And
okay, but you have to understand that as a science engineering guy, a fulcrum is a thing with a very pivotal meaning.
Okay.
There was actually an engineering joke in there, if you caught it. So that just when you say fulcrum, that's a word that's going to stick in my mind anyway.
Okay.
Right.
But So I mean, I guess we can just sort of start at the beginning as we get to meet all.
Well,
of
hold
our
on.
Okay. Okay.
I want to give my overall impressions.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Go ahead. If you
So,
must, Steven.
season 1 is better than season 1 of the Clone Wars, in my opinion. I love that it's a cohesive story, even if it can be somewhat episodic. Like, at least every time we're still with all the same characters. We're not jumping around from plot to plot. We're not having these standalones that have, that just focus on C-3PO and R2-D2. They made an appearance this season, and it's the best appearance they've ever had in an animated show. But as part of the larger Star Wars canon, I think I really, really appreciate where this particular show is situated, because we learned so much about the rise of the rebellion just in this first season, about how it's all these disconnected cells that barely know anything that anybody else is doing, and they're just doing what they can where they live. And then you have people like Fulcrum who will keep things coordinated between them, because that's how real life, counterinsurgency or insurgencies work. And I appreciate that they, that they went there with that. I love seeing Kanan. I love seeing a Jedi 15 years on from Order 66. And we'll get into character by character later on. But so overall, I like the show, but I love what the show might end up being.
Yeah, I told you guys when we were going into this that season 1 is probably, I hesitate to use the word the weakest, but it sort of is, just because
the later seasons will have 100% more Darth Vader.
Yeah, and like there's so many fangasms, to be had in the next 3 seasons of the show, that like, season 1 by default just kind of, it does the work of establishing everything and allowing you to spend time with these characters so that they're not overshadowed by by, like, if you brought in Ahsoka and Darth Vader right away, we'd only care about them,
Right,
so.
right. It was a smart move. I mean, obviously, I would love to have more of both of those characters. Freaking icons, both of them. But I think I agree with you, John. They did it right by giving this crew a whole season for us to figure out who they are, what they're about, and
connect with them,
and then just give us that little tease of you're going to come back, because now Ahsoka's fully in the story, and has been just sort of behind the curtain.
Right, yeah.
And then you hear that, like, Darth Vader doesn't even have any spoken word lines. It's just got the breathing, and he walks past, and I'm still sitting there going like,
I was so happy when you typed in the Slack. You were like, I am, you wrote like, I'm smiling like an idiot or something.
Yeah, grinning like an idiot.
Grinning like an idiot. I was like, yeah. But yeah, it's like, it immediately just gets you pumped for season 2. And like, I remember the first time I watched the show, because obviously rewatching it now, like I loved like all of it because I love these characters. But I do remember the first time I watched the show, I was enjoying it, but I wasn't yet, like, it wasn't sitting where the later stuff of Clone Wars was in my mind. But then, like, as soon as like season 2 starts up, like, it's just like the show does so many cool things. And
well, we'll get into other stuff, but and this is a full spoilers conversation about season 1 at least.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much left unfinished between Ahsoka and Vader, and this is where it's going to play out, and I cannot wait for it.
I know. I was like, I've recently we just completed that, and I did a little rewatch of those final couple of episodes from season 7, and all of the near misses, between Anakin and Ahsoka, and things that were left unsaid, and questions and feelings. I just can't. But that's like bread and butter. That's that's the good stuff right there that you want to get more of. So hopefully, I mean, they're right there. They're right there.
With next wet.
Yeah, there are things like I can't even describe the amount of things we're going to have to talk about in the season 2 discussion as far as like Ahsoka and Vader are concerned.
So I'm wondering if we want to go sort of like chronological, or do we want to go character by character? I think either one is fine.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think because the show is kind of, it can be very episodic, so if you just want to, I don't know if I want to go through like,
every episode,
each half-hour installment. I think I'd rather have a sort of more wide-ranging discussion, but I'll leave it up to you guys.
Well, I think that means we should either start with Spectre 1 or Spectre 6, because ostensibly they are sort of like the main character duo. It feels like that to me, at least. Ezra and Kanan, they're the 2 Force users.
Which, by the way,
the kid's self-insert character, and then the wise Jedi Master, the guy calling the shots. I think either one is a good place to start.
Can I just say, and this was probably unfair for me, but but as an actor who often appeared in certain sort of more teen-oriented movies back in the day and stuff, I was never like overly like a big Freddie Prinze Jr. fan.
Okay.
But ever since he did this work as Kanan, like, man, I love that guy so much. He does a great job in this role. He's utterly fantastic. And so this is an example of like, I think he proved what dissenters he has wrong, because he just did a great job. Sorry, I took a while getting it out.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm waiting for it. Like, yeah. I'm not the biggest Freddie Prinze Jr. fan either. Like, it is what it is. But Kanan was an incredible character. Like, I enjoyed him way more than I anticipated. I mean, I figured I would like Hera from the little, like, I knew a little bit about some of the characters. I figured I'd like Hera. I figured I'd like Sabine. I didn't realize I was going to like Kanan half as much as I do, because I'm like, that's the Jedi I want to be.
Like, one of my favorite bits of dialogue ever is just like, and do or do not. There is no try. What does that even mean? I'm not really sure. I never figured that out.
But Yoda used to say it a lot. It's also for the record, my least favorite Yoda line in the entire series.
Yeah, I like it that they were kind of taking it sort of tongue in cheek, because it is probably one of the most quoted Yoda lines out there. So that they threw that little, I don't know what it means. He just said it all the time. I'm trying here, kid. Here, take this wisdom.
Because Kanan is, he's a Jedi, but he's been, incognito for years and years, ever since Order 66. He hasn't wanted to put himself out in the open, and so he's naturally very unsure about his abilities as a Jedi and his potential abilities as a teacher.
Cloaked One has a really good question. Is there a reason Hera isn't Spectre One, given that it's her ship and she seems to be driving a lot of their missions? I would imagine the Jedi gets preferential treatment there, as well as he's a white dude, so he's probably getting preferential treatment for that too.
And human.
Right, and human. So like, that's my not misogyny, but systemic things.
Yeah,
But
yeah, that is interesting, and I gather it's definitely a bit of that, and just the fact that outside of the like inner show canon, if you're looking at it from a promotional point of view, Kanan is like sort of the outside of Ezra, he's meant to be viewed as the lead character of the show, so it was probably one of those things where not saying it was not saying it's right, but the writers probably just naturally thought, well, he's
he's the Jedi.
Yeah.
So honestly, I think it's more about he's the Jedi than anything.
Okay.
That would be my guess.
But Hera should be Spectre One because she's amazing.
Maybe she hadn't been doing it as long either.
Yeah, he's the decision maker on this.
Padawan, he's probably been doing it since Order 66.
I see. I have a little more information on that, just because I've read one of the books that actually shows them meeting for the first time. So, like, personally, I think she should be top dog. But
I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from her. She's awesome. We'll get to her. We should stay on Kanan. I liked him a lot more than I anticipated, though. And I love Jedi. The Force powers are my favorite thing about the Star Wars universe. The ideology, the ideas behind the Force, and all the Jedi mind trick. And man, I want to be a Jedi so bad.
Who doesn't?
Right. I mean, people love different things about the Star Wars universe. Some people love the ships or the droids or the aliens or whatever. And this show's got enough of all of that to keep all of us happy. But sometimes, specifically, I don't love all the Jedi. I love some of them. Obviously, like Plo Koon was one of my favorite Jedi, period.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the Jedi, I'm just like, you're boring because you've lost all passion, and you're just like quoting wise platitudes at me.
He's not holier than thou.
He's not.
Yeah, and that's what's fun about him. He's because at first glance you wouldn't think he was a Jedi.
No.
That's even the part where near the end of the season when Ezra tells Vizago, Kanan's a Jedi, and Vizago just starts cracking up.
Yeah. Well, he's been in hiding, and he's gotten very good at hiding his, his gift. Even his lightsaber, it's not like, out there, I'm a Jedi. No, he's got to kind of take it and, transform it together, to get it to work so it's not so obvious.
Yeah.
Miss Man Jones has a really great question, and I bet this one's a pretty good one for Nessie. Is there any symbolism with the name Hera? Hera is the goddess of motherhood and marriage, and Hera is a quasi-mother to Ezra and a love interest to Kanan.
Yeah, and she kind of always gets stuck on the ship while everybody else goes on adventures doing fun things, so that would piss her off a little bit too. So yeah,
she's like, maybe the positive aspects of Hera, because as we know, the Greek gods are just the worst.
Don't even get me started on her husband-ish person. So yeah, he's like the the heart of the ship, the heart of the home, the one who's always telling one, each of them being that inspirational person, saying, you know, being supportive to Ezra and his journey, and getting him in with the crew, being comforting to him, uh, being the person that kind of bounces his ideas and plans off of, and yet at the same time tells him when he's messing up, doing, when he's not doing the right things, or maybe she stands up to him, and it's completely equal, in my opinion, in authority on that ship, even though she's got a different designation. So, yeah, Hera is just a strong, solid individual, and that certainly lives up to her namesake.
Yeah, and another thing, while we're on the topic of her name, something else that'll probably shed some light on, how long she's actually been in the fight, so to speak, is her last name is Syndulla, which is actually a name that goes back to the Clone Wars with the freedom fighter Cham Syndulla, who was her father. On what's their planet? The Twi'lek's planet. Ryloth.
Okay.
So yeah, and
she could have been one of those little girls that we saw.
She probably was.
Yeah, so she's seen war her whole life. Planetary destruction. Enslaving of her people. There's a lot of enslavement in the Empire.
Oh yeah, like there is.
Like a lot.
Well, we don't need to give a history lesson, but obviously the Empire is modeled after Nazi Germany,
right?
Who used slave labor.
Yeah, with the Republic that outlawed.
But Steven, Star Wars has only now been getting political, didn't you hear?
Yeah. Whatever. Those people are just idiots. They haven't thought about it. They don't think about it. Yeah.
But the gloves are definitely off when it comes to, enslaving and subjugating peoples. The Republic, at least, they turned a blind eye to it. They didn't involve in it. Once the Republic fell, it's corporate mania and enslavement and just resource stealing and whatever.
Well, and the thing is, I guess maybe my best way of saying why is Kanan Spectre One and not Hera? And I think there's a lot of reasons for Hera to be Spectre One. I'm just trying to find a good in-canon explanation that's not he's the white guy. And we do see him be the battlefield commander.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of the fact that, well, one, like he is a Jedi. She knows he's a Jedi, and the fact that because she's the captain of the ship and the pilot, that he's by default going to be the one who's heading out on the missions.
Right, but it's also where his skill set is most applicable.
Yeah.
Miss Man Jones got a good point about Empire looking like colonial powers as well. You're not wrong.
You're not wrong there, yeah.
But I don't know. Kanan I really got to where I enjoyed the character a great deal right from the beginning. And I think a large part of that was he goes out and he leads the mission, and man, the dude is capable. Like, he is legit a badass. But we get to see that other side of him where he is so unsure of himself when it comes to training Ezra, and we see his side of it, because usually the Jedi Master is always so like, I'm the wise one and I have all the answers and stuff. They get to spout all the platitudes about the wise platitudes that some Jedi spout. Well, Kanan didn't do that, and I really love that he didn't do that. It made him infinitely more relatable to be wise and smart, but to not have all the answers the way so many other Jedi appear to.
Right. The loftiness is kind of peeled away somewhat. And Kanan does seem to be a much more humanized version of what we come to know from the Jedi
I
Order.
also, yeah, I mean, I also think the thing about Kanan is that in a way he's still kind of, is my interpretation of the character, that he still kind of feels like he's a Padawan.
Because
Yeah.
he finished his training.
Yeah, because he was a Padawan when his when his mentor was killed, and we get hints of what happened in that scene with the Inquisitor when we find out that her final words to him were "run," and so he was a Padawan, never finished his training, and he's just been constantly on the run ever since. And I love that moment when they go into the temple, and it's not just like Ezra going through something, but Kanan as well, and then he expresses his full doubt. And by the way, I absolutely loved that we got Frank Oz as the voice of Yoda.
It was so good.
In that scene.
Yeah.
It just,
and there was another time where I'm just like,
and it was great to the dialogue that we get from Yoda to him, talking about change do you have, and all that stuff, and you really get the vulnerability of Kanan, and this show is as much about his growth as it is Ezra's, and I love that stuff.
Yeah, and their relationship with one another really grows after that episode, where they have to go in together and they have to come out together, and their bond as Master and Padawan is really, I think, gelled in that episode, where they're more in sync with one another afterwards. And Ezra's still going to be a brat, but it's like he's taking everything a lot more seriously. Everything became really real to him in that temple, where before it was just this guy was spouting off some proverbs and teaching him some cool moves, but actually going in and having such a powerful Force experience, I think it just gelled it for him. And getting his kyber crystal kind of made it real. You think back to that episode in Clone Wars where, the younglings went off on their little field trip to get their kyber crystal, and it was a real test. So, they're not pulling punches with this kid. He's got to take a real test just like all the rest of the Padawans did.
Can I say, just seeing dead Jedi Masters sitting there waiting for their Padawans to return was like, that's dedication right there.
Yeah.
And they just leave them there too.
I mean, they can't get out.
And I just wanted to say, and I can't say too much of this, but I have to vocalize this. There's stuff that we see inside the temple that that I'm just realizing pays off down the line, but I didn't know it the last time I saw this. So watching that episode this time around, I was like, hey.
Yeah, it's always better the second time around, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that there was just a Jedi temple just happened to be there, on Lothal for them. I mean, they're not that common. So, I might be, please, people who are deeper in the lore than I am, don't hesitate to smack me. I don't know this for sure, but those Jedi temples were put. This is more in the outer rim areas. So there weren't a lot of Jedi running around on the regular out there, but they had these temples in place so that if they're areas that were more common for Force-sensitive children to, to be born on, so that they could be easier identified in the outer areas. So the fact didn't lost on me that Ezra was born on this planet, which is known to produce Force-sensitive children, and he was fortunate to be picked up by friendly people and not the Inquisitor. So
Yeah.
And even Kanan said, the Empire might be watching this temple, with sensors or surveillance, so that they could identify Force-sensitive candidates for their own reasons.
Yeah, because who wouldn't want another Inquisitor eventually?
Well, they're going to need a new one.
Yeah. No, I don't think they are. They have a Darth Vader now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they want one, they got to get a new one.
I can't wait to see Vader versus Ahsoka, Vader versus Kanan.
Oh, that one's not gonna be good.
it's gonna be awesome. Okay, so we kind of said a good bit about Kanan. One of the things that I really enjoyed was the relationship between Kanan and Hera, which is, I mean, it reads as romantic, but I don't think they ever out and out confirm it. At least not in season 1. We don't see where they bunk, so that question is unanswered.
Yeah, I will say that there's probably, yeah, if this was a couple ratings higher, there might be some deleted scene.
Okay. Because that's my read on it, is like, they're definitely a thing.
Like, I noticed much more this time around, like how much Hera calls him love and dear. Yeah, and so I think for a kids show, they kind of just play it sort of under the radar, but the adults know what's going on.
Emma's just popped in to say hi real quick. Happy birthday, Nessie. Yes, Nessie's birthday was Friday?
Yes, Friday.
It was last Friday. I told you happy birthday in 2 different media.
You did.
3, because I also told you with my voice on Zoom.
Yeah.
And some love for Dad Beard, John.
Getting a lot of love for it.
Yep. Thanks for stopping by, Emma.
Yeah. No, I love Hera, and Vanessa Marshall, who voices her, which and actually a bit of trivia, in season 7 of Clone Wars, she also had a bit part as Rook Cast, one of Maul's Mandalorian soldiers. She did a voice for that as well, but she's primarily known for Hera, and she, based off of all the interviews and stuff that I've seen with her, she is absolutely delightful, and I love just how much of a, we talk about her kind of filling that mother role for Ezra, but really she's that for the whole crew.
Yeah. She's the voice of reason in a lot of ways, except
for Kanan.
Right. Yeah, we don't want to go down. We don't want no Oedipus stories.
Yeah. No, she's his partner in more ways than one. I feel like they certainly share a lot of the duties and responsibilities, and they're both in the same level of, I guess, clearance. Is that the word that I want to say? Where they are able at the same information level.
Well, not quite, because there's even that bit where she says to the others, as far as what information Kanan can give up, and she's like, he doesn't know anything. He's actually not in the know about, like, Fulcrum and
right. But and as far as like, yeah, you're right. Sorry about that.
So I guess he doesn't, does he? It really all is hinge on Hera. Maybe that's why she's number 2, because Kanan is number 1 to take the heat off her.
Yeah, that was a point somebody made in the chat earlier as well. And
did somebody make that point in the chat?
Thanks. Earlier, earlier on in our discussion. If I find it, I'll pop it up on the screen.
Okay, but like whoever said that is
There it is. It was Cloaked One.
Cloaked One. Taking it
Yeah,
off
lots of good comments tonight from Cloaked One.
solid one. Yeah, thank you, Cloaked One. That's a very very astute observation that I made several minutes after you did. But yeah, I find that to be very plausible because she so much does hinge on her. She gives more orders than Kanan does.
Yeah, and
well, when they're on the ship, she's the boss. You know.
Yeah, and I just so immediately loved her, like going into the show, though, like when they get back on the ship after the whole interaction with Ezra down on the surface of Lothal, and she's like, what happened down there? And he's like, I don't want to talk about it. And she goes, spill it. She's just insanely likable right off the bat.
Like, I'm not taking any of your garbage.
Yeah.
Put your pout away and tell me what happened. Yeah, and
which, by the way, I have to ask, did you guys take a look at those videos that I posted in the Slack, which were the shorts? Okay. That actually shines a bit more light on, when I was saying that there's definitely something going on with Hera well, because one of the shorts is this whole thing where it's basically her and Kanan and Chopper on the ship, and they're evading TIE fighters, and it's like just a character building type of thing, and there's some great interaction then. And then there's another one with like Sabine, doing her paintings on some TIE fighters, which actually ties into the final episode of the season.
Yeah,
I love that. I love the fact that Sabine is an artist. She's not just this one-dimensional fighter, type character. She's got a little depth to her.
Save it for Sabine.
Yeah.
Save it for Sabine talk. I mean, Hera hasn't got her due yet for me. I love Sabine too, though. Like, don't get me wrong. Can't wait.
The episode where they were on the asteroid, and it was just Hera and Sabine on that, pickup mission. That was like Hera really showed her leadership skills there, quite a bit, because they were cut off from everybody and had to survive on their own with what they had, which wasn't a lot. They had to use their wits, staging, battlefield organization, staging,
and explosives.
Yeah.
But that's where there was a lot of arguing about fulcrum between the two.
Right, and it's like, if you don't know, you can't tell.
Because Sabine is saying, I want to know more. I feel like I've earned knowing more, and there's a good reason. Because if you're really playing for the team, you don't want to know.
Right, and you can't give up secrets you don't have.
Right. Miss Man out here singing for she's a good fellow for you. Very
I see
kind.
that. Thank you, Miss Man. Thank you.
But go ahead, Steven. I said you hadn't said your piece on Hera.
I haven't. Hera she is the spoke about which, or she is the axle about which all the other spokes of the crew turn. Maybe that's not the best metaphor, but she really is the glue that's holding them all together. She's the one that can get them from point A to point B. She's the one that knows the right people. She's the one with the big picture. Like, Kanan's great on the tactical level. She's the strategic thinker. And she's also so gentle and kind and understanding. Not flawless, who is, but she's so many female characters are often reduced to being, well, you all know how female characters can be sort of pigeonholed into being one thing. Even a really like strong female character, oftentimes she's just punch lady and that's all she does. We talked about this, Nessie, you and I talked about this 2 weeks ago when we were talking about the What If series with, because we both really appreciated how they did Captain Carter.
Captain Carter. Yeah,
it's
Hera is very well written. She's a very well-rounded character. She's not just one thing.
Yeah, there's this misconception that a lot of people have that if to be a strong, capable female character, you've got to you got to be sort of stereotypically strong and stereotypically masculine.
Yeah,
and that is not the case. Yeah,
she's not that, but she's still like in a firefight in the tactical situation. A lot of times she just stays on the ship, out of the way. She's the one with the secret, so she's not going to be given up. And her skill set is not blowing things up. So many other people are better at that than she is. But you're right. She feels like she ought to be Spectre One.
Yeah, I'm like, if I'm in a tight spot, like I absolutely want her in my corner.
Oh, and I'm calling Hera and telling her, get Kanan and Sabine and the rest of them and come save me.
Yeah, and when she comes back after that mission from the asteroid, after they pick her up, she doesn't browbeat Zeb and Ezra for not doing a proper, refit on her ship. She's,
but she should.
She should, but she doesn't go off on them or tell them that they're incompetent or anything. She just does what a good captain does, which is go and make sure everything is correct.
Right.
Do your job correctly from here on out.
Yeah, she could have used a little bit of Ashford. There we go. Do your freaking job, or I'll space you myself.
Yeah, and she pulled more of a Picard on them, just keeping it cool and letting them know, and without saying, they knew she was disappointed in them. They knew that they had screwed up and put them in danger that way. So
I just find her, overall fantastic character. Really well executed from top to bottom. And you feel that maybe it's like, yes, they're 1 and 2. She feels like she's the one in charge, though. Even though she's got Spectre 2,
yeah, I will say,
but she and Kanan trust each other too.
Yeah,
and that's a huge part of what makes them work together as a team. Is that those two trust each other implicitly.
But for me, like across all the sort of different mediums that I've, having taken in like the whole of this series, and as well as like the book A New Dawn, which is about them, and certain other things, like I view Hera, regardless of who's Spectre One, like she is kind of the number one. She's the leader of the Ghost crew, I can't say enough positive things about her character, because she takes care of everybody. They're all a family, and she is looking out for everybody, and she's ready to really, whenever it's necessary, she can get down to business and and go in and save people and do all that. She's just a great character, and she's a phenomenal pilot. Like, you get more, I mean, obviously you get perfectly get a sense that she's a great pilot in this first season, but you also get a sense of how much flying means to her as the show goes on.
Yeah.
And all this stuff. And it's just, I love that about her character.
Yeah, I really enjoyed her as well. Should we move on to Spectre 3 now? This guy right here? Chopper?
Old Chopper.
I'm just going to get this out of the way first because I know you guys at this point are less glowing, but I freaking adore Chopper. Chopper is like so great because he's been with Hera specifically for a very long time, and it's just like he's the grouchy droid. It's like he's not going to put up with any crap, but he's also like he's a soldier too. He's ready to do what needs to be done, and he's the droid with sass, and I.
He definitely has chops for sure. They named him correctly on that, and I've only ever seen that type of astromech droid on the final couple of episodes of season 7, where Ahsoka's making her last stand and she enlists the droids, and there's one, he has the little arms that pop out. That's how I look at him. His tools are like his arms,
Yeah, which was a wonderful little
so empathic, it's expressing so much emotion using.
He does have arms.
Which was a wonderful Easter egg for the fans watching Clone Wars season 7. It's obviously not the same droid, but it was just a little shout out to all the Chopper fans.
Yeah. I mean, he's a great astromech droid. He's got a lot of personality.
He's got a lot of personality, that's for sure.
Got a lot of personality, and seeing droids with great personality, that's a hallmark, man. This guy, he stands out too. He's got his own little way about doing things.
And I will say, like I think part of the reason why, I think he would have done it anyway, but one of the reasons I think why he particularly warmed his way into fans' hearts is because every week after an episode of Rebels aired, they'd have this online 10-minute special called Rebels Recon, where it would have, somebody from Lucasfilm, basically hosted it, and she'd go around like asking Pablo Hidalgo, questions about the canon and stuff. And then there'd be these little shorts where, a live action Chopper would go around and be causing mischief in the offices of Lucasfilm. And so he kind of became a mascot for the show. And so as fans, we just kind of came to love him more and more because he has such personality. And when I went to Orlando for a book signing for the first Padme YA novel, and they had a Chopper there just going around the Barnes and Noble. And
Okay, so I'm going to say it. Did not particularly enjoy Chopper a whole lot. Warmed up to him as the season went on. He's still near the bottom of the list. He got into it with R2-D2, and I was like, oh, hell no. Back up, Chopper. And put some respect on that droid's name.
No, that's not the way Chopper operates. I laughed so hard when they were about to bring that other droid aboard the crew, and he just punches him out.
I was like, you just murdered that droid.
He did.
I mean, it shows us that the droid is fine, but I'm like, there's no way that droid is fine.
Like, he gave 0 fucks about letting another droid onto his ship. Okay? Like, I am the droid on this ship. You have no place here. and I warmed up to him as well, Steven. I didn't. He didn't really, catch me at the first couple of, episodes. But I think he kind of gelled for me when in the Lando episode where he got gambled away. And from that point, it was like, I don't have to listen to any of you.
Except that he was the whole time listening to Hera.
Yes, the whole time he was just playing both sides, and I was like, this little droid.
But he was still enjoying playing the role.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm going to say, like, as an aside note, whatever voice actor they got to do Lando crushed it.
No, that was him.
Was that really him?
Yeah, that was Billy D.
Because he sounded so youthful.
No, that was Billy D.
Nice.
Voice never ages.
You know who does a really great Billy D. Williams impression? Billy D. Williams, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was one of the really cool things about this show was that, and I say this as someone who adores like all the voice actors who came in to do roles for the Clone Wars to fill the shoes of actors from the live action films, but when they had like guest spots on this show, a lot of times they went for like the actual actors who did great jobs. There's some cases where they didn't, but in a lot of cases, like with Lando, they did, and it was just it's
pretty sure
so
they
much
didn't
fun.
Peter Cushing to do.
No, that's Stephen Stanton, who also voiced him in Clone Wars, which it would be kind of hard to get Peter Cushing.
Yeah, it would be be a really neat trick if you could do it.
Yeah, which I loved when when Tarkin is like, I actually knew the Jedi. It reaches back to those Clone Wars episodes where you see him interacting with them, and it just brings you back to how much of an asshole this guy is.
Well, I'm going to steer it back towards Chopper as we go into the mid-roll here in a minute. He's definitely a unique droid. As you say, he's got sass, which to me came across as somewhat childish in the earlier episodes. And maybe he feels by the end of season 1, I feel like maybe he's less childish and more like he's a cranky old man.
Yeah, that's how I
and you'll get more of sort of exploration of and kind of why he is the way he is as the show goes on. But yeah, I think the read of sort of cranky, old man who's been around and seen a lot. So yeah.
I love his little flex that he does sometimes, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably been around since the Clone Wars. The good astromech is they don't go bad; they just keep on plucking. So he's probably been around for at least that long. The design is the same, so they haven't changed that much in 15 years. So I'm sure he's seen some action before. Now he's been in the thick of things.
I really did like, especially knowing what I know about Chopper, and you guys will come to find that out, but it's just moments like towards the end of the season when Ezra goes to him and he's like, you want to help me rescue Kanan, and like Chopper's fully on board with that. And I think you get glimpses that there's some real depth to this character who he's a gigantic troll, but he really loves his crew, so and I think you'll get even more of a sense of that as the show goes on.
Yeah, just seeing him pushing that fuel payload up into the back of the Ghost while all the other firefighting's going on, he's like, I can't do anything about that, but I can gas up the tank. Take care of my team.
So I just sneezed and hurt my back.
That's a pretty powerful sneeze, Steven.
Well, I'm also old, so what are you going to do? All right.
You got to stretch before you cough and sneeze.
Yeah, I know. It snuck up on me, and then one sneeze, and my back went, nope, don't like that. Well, you know what? Let's just go to the mid-roll while I recover from this, shall we?
Okay.
You can talk about Copper when we come back if you want, but this is the mid-roll. Yes, we still have a whole other hour of conversation left to go. We still have a lot to cover. Like one of the best characters in the show we haven't even touched on yet. But, well, really, two of the best characters in the show we haven't. Anyway,
we got more to say.
But this is the mid-roll. Like and subscribe because it's YouTube, because I always forget to say that. So yeah, if you haven't hit the like button, I would appreciate that. I would take it as like a personal favor if you would do that. And also, most everybody I see in the chat subscribed, but you can subscribe. We'll be doing stuff later. John, do you have anything scheduled coming up?
I do not yet. Sorry, guys. I know it's been a couple weeks now since my last thing, but I have stuff in mind. I just haven't scheduled yet. I've been feeling slightly under the weather for the past week or two, so it just hasn't been primarily on my mind. And don't worry, everybody. I did get tested for COVID. It's not that. So,
and it's negative.
Yeah. As soon as I'm kind of, back in gear, I'll schedule something and we'll get going. I know some of the stuff I want to do is one more stream on the Bad Batch and then some more Pirates of the Caribbean stuff. So we'll be getting into that. And so for now, just if you haven't watched my last couple videos, go check them out. And if you're not already subscribed to John Webster Film, yeah, I know.
I've already seen those. Nessie, you got anything coming up?
No, I've got lots of things going on in the real world out here. But I did want to take a few minutes, since I don't have anything upcoming, but I wanted to thank everybody who went out of their way to make my birthday very special. It was a big one this year. It's 52.
She finally got a full deck of cards.
I'm a full deck of cards now. Thank you, Steven, for reminding me of that. Shout out to Emily of the Eerie from the Owl Faces podcast for doing a special one-off D&D game for me today, which was excellent. A lot of friends from not just the Slack group, but the Radio Westeros group, D&D group, got together and did that today for me. It was great. Nobody died. And one of the player characters at the end of it, who I have not had a chance to play with before, her name is we'll call her Philo. But she is Laura Petricelli. I don't know if she's in the chat or not. But anyway.
I don't think so.
Yeah, at the end of the session, she just went off and just told everybody off at the end of the session in character. And it was phenomenal. 100% Philo.
That's the thing. Laura is such a sweetheart. But
right, and she plays an evil murder hobo.
Yes, like her character in the game that I run that she's in is just the worst.
Yeah, she is. She prefaced her introduction by saying, "I am the worst human being possible that you will ever meet, and I will do whatever I want to."
Yeah, she's basically chaotic evil.
Yeah. I got a gift from my good sis today in the mail from Charlotte Beverly. It says, "Nessie believes in you," and the note inside says, "I sent this to remind you to believe in yourself."
Oh, that's
so
really
I know. Lady Char is just she is the best and sweetest. So
yeah.
Special shout out to her too for that. It just really
we love you, Char. Haven't seen you in a while around, but she's got her own reaction channel, Lady Char the Music.
Yep. She's doing well. Doing good. So that's it for me. I just want to say thanks to everybody, and I really did appreciate everything.
Right on, right on. Well, let me make sure I give shout outs to our wonderful patrons because they're also rock stars. And they include our alpha patron, Ridiculous Ed Tollett, who has just gotten off work and is on the way home. And drive safe, buddy. We love you. But they are other lords or other members of the High Council are Lord John Bronsteen the Wise, Sixto Sounds, aka JP the Axe Grinder, and the lovely Lady Leaf Underhill. And they are supported by the lords and ladies of the realm, including Ryan Stavka, the Russian Quartermaster, Reflective Rambling, and Arch-Maester Emma. Thank you, patrons. We love you very much. Yeah, if you want to be a patron, links down in the description. You can get your own shout out, but get your name added to the record of heroes. Been trying to think of something to do for our top tier patrons, something unique. But it's always difficult to come up with something. So anyway, it's something that I've been thinking about because our High Council has remained more or less the same for quite some time, and those people are really like pulling their extra weight, and I wouldn't do something nice for them. But I digress. I'm putting off telling everybody what I have coming, what's coming up next week on Here Be Dragons for a reason, because I am psyched about this one, y'all.
You should be.
So, anybody out there like Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire? Anyone? Let's
Part of it.
Yeah, I kind of like it, you know. And there's this podcast out there called Radio Westeros, and they're really good. And I've been following them since they became a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've already done one of their hosts, and I finally managed to land the other one of their hosts. So yeah, come back next week where I will be having a 2-hour conversation with Lady Gwen about Lady Gwen from Radio Westeros. I'm psyched about this one, y'all.
You should be, Steven. That's an excellent guess.
She's such a pillar of the community. Her and Yoke Boy have been around forever. They've always been such great people. He was a blast to have a conversation with, and I'm really looking forward to getting her in here and having a nice, fun conversation with her. So yeah, I know that nerd, Lady Gwen.
Can I just say I've never had the chance to speak with her personally, but I have great affection for her based off of her Twitter avatar. Just gonna say that.
Mm-hmm. Is it a Keira Knightley photo? Yeah,
might be.
Yeah, it's Keira Knightley as Guinevere, I believe.
Yeah, Lady Gwen's a wonderful human being.
Yeah. I haven't met her face to face yet. Would have had there been like no plague, and we could have gone to Ice and Fire Con in 2020 or 2021. You know. Anyway, I digress. Lady Gwen.
Everybody else is like, yeah, Ice and Fire Con 2022, and now it's some like,
yeah. Speaking of, HereBeCon 2021 in January, hopefully, or 2022 now in January, hopefully.
It's like, I swear to God, like HereBeCon was supposed to be the thing that no matter what else happened, we were going to be able to make that happen, but turns out not.
Well, we're moving into January.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what week we're gonna. If you have a stake in that, you know where to make your voice heard. We'll just say that. Yeah, Kate. Maybe it is birthday con for you. But we'll see.
We'll see. I kind of don't even want to make plans because it seems like you make plans and COVID laughs.
Well, we made these plans when COVID was at its lowest. We waited till the numbers were way down. But then Delta variant and everybody all of a sudden unmasking all at once. And
Summer holidays.
And vaccines. Anyway, go get vaccinated, please.
Please go get vaccinated. Make my job easier. Please.
Yeah, it makes Nessie's job easier.
Yeah.
And I will say this too. If you want to come to HereBeCon, like I already know some people can't make it in January that could have made it in October. It is what it is. There might be a spot or two open again. So if January is a time where you feel like maybe you want to come hang out with us here in Texas, where it'll be cold, but it ain't going to be like Canada cold or even like Kansas cold. You know, it's Texas. It's going to be warmer here than most other places in the Northern Hemisphere.
Unless there's snow.
Say again?
I said unless there's snow again.
Well, that happened in February this year, so
maybe we'll.
Right. Okay. Anyway, you want to talk some more about Star Wars?
Yeah, maybe we should.
John, I wore the wrong shirt this week. I find your beard quite wonderful this week.
Yeah, but you know, it was a safe bet because usually I go the other way with it. But
I appreciate your laziness, John. I know that's what it was.
Yeah.
Hashtag Team Beard.
Yeah, hashtag Team Beard. I mean, nobody can tell you how to wear your face, but everybody is perfectly allowed to tell you how they would like you to wear your face.
This is true.
And there is like a whole lot of us are Team Beard. I, for one, could just care less about beards, clearly. John, I would love to see you with a beard like this. Like
I would not.
Why not, dude? You'd look like
because I can barely stand the feel of this.
Okay, but you get past a certain point and it stops.
Get past it, man.
You have it's like a lot of things. You have to get past the annoying part, and you're
there, man.
Yeah.
Just give it a week.
Yeah, I mean, it's got its like.
So Star Wars.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna make a whole. Instagram that's just John's beard Instagram.
There are some great beards in Star Wars too, John.
Okay.
You should really take them as an inspiration.
So we should move on. Spectre 4.
Look at that beard, John.
Yeah, but that's not a full-on Gimli. Spectre 4. Zeb. Zeb has a beard. Anyway, okay.
Garazeb Aurelius himself. Like one of the really cool things about Zeb is that his design is actually based on like early designs of Chewbacca.
Mm-hmm.
It was really the whole show, like the look of the whole show is inspired by the Ralph McQuarrie the concept art. So it's really cool that they went back to those early,
Yeah, and the mission where
didn't they even call him like a rare hairless Wookiee in one episode?
Yes, that episode I was about to say where they take him in as a quote, we caught a Wookiee. No, you didn't.
Then he does his attempt at a Wookiee growl, and then immediately takes him out, and he's like, "See, I told you they wouldn't go for it. You didn't really give him a chance." Now, I really love Zeb because what he and Ezra very much have like big brother, little brother, vibes, and I just find their dynamic really fun. And Zeb is one of those characters that there's a lot of. I think you get a hint of his depth early on with the episode that talks about the weapons that were used to basically exterminate his people, and there's more to delve in there in the future. So I think you kind of get a lot of grumpy, messing around Zeb this season, and then we get to delve into more of his stuff as the show goes on. But I don't know, I just really love his sort of gruff,
because he's not cranky old man.
Mm-mm.
But he is like roll your eyes. He is rolling his eyes at his little brother, but he's also like he's kind of a man child himself.
Yeah,
like he feels like the bigger brother, but he doesn't feel like a grown up sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, he's very chaotic.
Yes.
He's got that. I don't know if are they based on a feline type. It's kind of what I got, even though he's hairless. A hairless Wookiee, but I kind of got like this feline cat-like vibe from him, and it's kind of like you can tell me what to do, but then I'm going to do what I want to anyway sometimes. So
he definitely feels felinoid to me as well, with the way he climbs and jumps too.
Yeah, it's very feline-like. So yeah, and he's just another example of the Empire did a genocide on his planet. So here's another, cause for
a lot of that going around.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah.
But I just love his sort of like he's told what to do, and then he kind of ends up doing it his own way, and then he's like, oops.
Yeah. Anybody that has a feline sharing their dwelling with them, you don't have a cat. You just share space with them. They're like the world's worst roommate ever. But they can very easily recognize when Zeb is doing his little like cat games, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go do what I want to.
Yeah, I do like that he feels like he's definitely a full part of the crew, but at the same time, he doesn't, like you say, he does follow orders, especially like in the thick of things, but he is also very much not a robot.
Right.
He does it his way. He gets distracted. He wants to be blowing stuff up and shooting things and punching things.
He steals a TIE fighter and hides it instead of getting rid of it.
He's a bit of a more honest version of Jane in a lot of ways. Firefly.
Okay.
He's got more, more of a heart, and but he's kind of that same, chaotic element in the group.
Yeah, Dan, you are correct. John said this, or just said this when we first started talking about Zeb, that he's based on some Ralph McQuarrie art for early versions of Chewbacca. I've seen the artwork. Zeb is much like the original artwork. I thought was creepy. Even Zeb isn't creepy looking.
No, not at all.
But he is intimidating, as is pointed out.
Yeah. That's a great line. Why am I watching him? Because you're intimidating. You're not wrong.
No, you're not wrong. He's just got that big cat vibe to him.
Yeah.
And he's territorial. He's very territorial about his room. I have to share my room.
Right.
With the kids.
Well, I also love the physicality of the character. Run, jump, climb, pick up, throw, push, pull. Like he does all that stuff in a way that makes him feel useful in the crew in a way that nobody else really can be. I mean, other characters can be athletic, but they can't match his strength and his endurance.
Yeah.
Which gives him, a unique role to play in the crew, which I approve of.
Yeah. I mean,
really everybody has that.
Yeah, Kanan can't
even
always be throwing things around with his force power, it's make
right.
things
Well,
maybe so obvious.
Kanan is the tactical leader. Um, Hera is the pilot, and the not that other people can't fly and have, but she is the pilot, and she's also like the connections person. Chopper's the technician, and we get
Now we get
Beth
the
here as the sort of the muscle.
Yeah.
But he's not one-dimensional, not so
No, he's
one-dimensional
not.
either. He's very intelligent and articulate about a lot of things. So you just don't. He's just not a brick, so to speak.
Right. He's not the brightest, but he's not an idiot either.
Right.
But he's not there to be the brains. He's there to be the, and he does a great job at it. And the story does a great job of showing us like the different ways that they all fight, and the way he engages with problems is a very Zeb way of doing things. I don't know. I enjoyed the character well enough. As I said, I'll put it to you this way. But at the beginning of season 1, I liked half the characters, and I was kind of annoyed by half the characters. By the end of season 1, I liked half the characters, and I loved the other half.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from I'm annoyed by you, Chopper too, from I'm annoyed by you too. Okay, I like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and I am excited to give him a chance to continue to grow and evolve and be part of the team and just do Zeb things. So
yeah, and I think the more, like John says, we learn about his backstory and what motivates him, and his people and what have you, I think we'll find more to like about this guy.
Yeah,
because I think a major thing about, and really, like, I'm just sort of, not that I didn't know it before, but like now that I'm thinking about it, it's very purposeful that all of these characters really are kind of, because this is a generation that came up in the wake of the Clone Wars and Order 66. All of these characters are really dealing with sort of buried trauma, and I think that comes to the forefront more as the show goes on, and they sort of address that, and then they come out the other side of it, or they don't. It's just, it's really great the way they've done that. And I think that, as we're talking about Chopper, the fact that, he's kind of got sort of those grumpy old man qualities. I think a lot of the way he comes off is sort of suppressing things that he's gone through, and Zeb may, have sort of a more lighthearted disposition because he's dealing with the fact that his people were wiped out by the Empire, and I think you really get to see these things develop, in the next couple seasons. So, yeah.
Not nice. I love it. Shall we talk about Spectre 5? The character who I expected to be my favorite character, but is actually made 2 or 3. And I'm not sure if I like Kanan or Hera better.
No, I absolutely
awesome.
I absolutely adore Sabine. I think that she probably is my favorite character in the show. I mean, at least I'd say of the Ghost crew,
right?
Just because, like, she's just as I mean, I always love the Mandalorians, like, and she is really cool, and I love, her art and everything, and the fact that she's kind of, it's interesting because you can kind of look at the show as, if you're looking from the point of view of the younger characters, you have her and Ezra, who are kind of the ones who are, who are coming up during this time, and And even though like the show seems first and foremost through Ezra's eyes, but you can also see there's a lot of the show that ends up being through Sabine's eyes as well, and sort of what she goes through, and so I like the fact that those two are the younger characters, and if I'm gonna choose like a preference between the two, I'm always gonna go with the really cool, young Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
And it might just be that we haven't got enough backstory for her yet. But again, I expected her to be my number one. I think both Kanan and Hera rise above her, but she is of that half that I liked from the beginning. I like that she's no nonsense. Obviously, Mandalorians look awesome, and the way she's painted her armor, doubly so. That artistic expression she's got is really fun aspect of the character. The way she painted the bunks that Ezra and Zeb share, the way she painted the TIE fighter at the end, like I really enjoy that aspect of her character. It makes her nice and well-rounded because she is punch stuff lady or shoot stuff lady in a way that Hera certainly isn't.
Yeah, and also as far as like all the things that she does with colors, same thing with her hair. You'll see like her hair change up every season.
I need it. I was wondering if that would happen actually.
Yeah,
because her hair is cool, but I'm like, I know your type. You're gonna change that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this as delicately as I can, because I don't know what the intention is, but I feel like she is designed to be an Asian character. Just the way they draw her eyes, she has a more almond shape to her eyes that none of the other characters have. But that's representation, which is good. I didn't realize that she had. Well, she reads to me as Asian. Obviously, it's animation, and you can see what you see and whatever. But I liked it. I liked that they made a character that I was like, that's not a white person.
Yeah, and I'll be I'll be watching carefully to see what they do with the casting. If they bring her to live action, because they need to not, Avatar that up.
Yeah. We had that talk just the other day, didn't we? You still haven't seen that movie, have you?
I don't plan on it.
Yeah, we were talking about that on Zoom a night or two ago about the really terrible Last Airbender movie.
Yeah. So we could possibly see Sabine Wren coming up on maybe next season of The Mandalorian, possibly. She would still fall within the age group of.
Yeah, I mean, Mandalorian is 9 years after the Battle of Yavin.
And she's fairly young, and.
Yeah, I mean, so she would be probably mid-30s to 40 years old.
Guys,
contemporary with Bo-Katan.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like, for the rest of this show, she's a Mandalorian. This is still Dave Filoni doing the show.
Oh, yes. She's a Mandalorian.
Expect things.
Right.
Certain things that we've seen before might make an appearance. I had no clue that could happen. It's like, hey. So, not to be spoilery, but certain things can be surmised.
Right.
Yeah. That's why, like there's gonna be, like, as much as like going through and watching the season again, like I really appreciate it even more than I did on my first viewing. And I think that's a great opening season, but oh my god, guys, like the things that they go into, like as far as the Star Wars mythology and all that for the future seasons, like you guys are gonna lose your minds.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I mean, and as much as I would love to go on and on about Sabine, I liked her, but I feel like they didn't give us a whole lot of. She was just a part of the team. We didn't get a whole lot of her backstory. We got little throwaway lines about like we know she went to the Imperial Academy and all of that.
So she was obviously raised on Mandalore. She was there during, her final,
and she wanted to know more about Fulcrum and all that stuff. And which was interesting to watch her bounce off Hera, but we still haven't had a whole lot of Sabine-centric story.
What you can glean from that is that because of her past experiences, it's very important to her that she not be kept in the dark about things.
Right.
And I will say that is a major setup for some pivotal plot points that'll come up. And like if you're wanting more background for Sabine, trust me, it'll come.
Yeah,
the show is just taking its time, and
maybe that's when she'll rise up to the point where I expected her to be, because I actually expected her to be my favorite character, and she's not. She's a great character. She's top 3, but she did not make the #1 spot. That belongs probably to Hera. I don't know. Kanan is really great too. I love that 1-2 punch of Kanan and Hera just doing it for me.
Yeah, I think they're giving her a long wind up, and then once Sabine breaks out, I think we're really going to see
we get the rest, more of her story, more story focused on her. She'll rise the ranks, I'm sure.
Yeah, because her backstory is intriguing. It makes me want to know more. I think, okay, you've given me these little tidbits. Now pay off. And pay off good, Dave Filoni.
Yeah. Hey, man, Dave Filoni's fantastic. I have faith.
Yeah, this is sort of why I've wanted more people to, as they've sort of, when The Mandalorian came out and that name was out there, Dave Filoni on the credits and stuff. And I kept saying to people, like, this guy has been doing genius work in the animation landscape for years. It's worth going back and
got it start where? Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
Which we have been covering, by the way, and it's been great. So what else to say about Sabine other than I'm ready for it. Give me more.
Yeah, the thing that I really love about her art and stuff is that it's not so much in this season, but there's a little bit of it in this season, but it starts to become like the calling card of the Ghost Crew and this rebel cell, where you even see like in the last episode where she's like, I've gotten better too, and she sets off all the explosives and the cloud rises up and makes that logo and stuff. It's just I love the way.
I must have missed that moment. Was this in the last episode?
In Empire Day, wasn't it?
No, it's in the last episode when she sets the bombs off with all the TIE fighters and
yeah. But like her artwork is, she's got this street art style vibe, and that type of artwork is very prevalent when you're having underground. It's tied with resistance movement in the underground, and making your voice, making things heard or seen, during periods of uprising. So her having that little tag and all, it really just adds a lot to the story as well. Like she can make these statements, that everybody can see. You can paint over them later, but people can see it. People can identify with symbols through artwork that way.
Right. Well, we've only got 25 minutes left. I think we better talk about Ezra and leave some time to talk about all the other characters too.
Yeah.
So Ezra Bridger. ostensibly our point of view character into the Ghost crew, the self-insert for the YA audience or for the youth audience.
The youths.
And this was another interesting case of where coming off of a canceled Clone Wars didn't do poor Ezra any favors. And it's funny how quickly viewers forgot that. I think a big thing when the show came out was like he's no Ahsoka, forgetting that like they all loathed Ahsoka when she first popped up.
Well, I guess it's fresh enough for me that I did not forget that I hated Ahsoka at first, and I freaking love Ahsoka now.
Yeah, which is not to say like, and I also think it's a disservice to say like to try and paint Ahsoka with a similar brush because it's a different character.
Sure.
And he goes on a different journey. So
it's a different way to grow up.
Yeah, I will say, like, this season shows an Ezra who, still has some growing up to do. And he's going to go on.
He did not start off nearly as annoying as I found Ahsoka, and his one season growth was also a lot. Like I said, he went from annoying me at the beginning to being like, okay, I actually like that character.
Yeah.
But his journey through season 1 was to learn to trust, to feel part of something bigger, to have faith in people outside of himself.
Yeah.
And it was a really great. That was not Ahsoka's journey in her first season.
And also, I think it's important to point out it's what you were saying earlier, Steven, about just sort of, the format of the show overall. It took a bit longer for that journey with Ahsoka because Clone Wars was a show that jumped around to many different narratives, whereas this is a single story following a set group of characters throughout the season. So you're able to follow Ezra along on this, on this journey, this growth that he goes through over the course of the season. And
where Ahsoka kind of jumps in fully formed, out of the mind of Yoda into the springs right onto the platform as like this wonder kid. She's had all this fine Jedi training. She knows she's got her lightsaber. She can do all these things. Even though she's a young, she's a Padawan learner, she still had a lot of formal training. So, she's like, I'm this wonder kid. I can do all these things. Yeah. Where Ezra is he's stumbling along. He's got some abilities he can't really control.
I have something to say. John, turn off your camera. I don't want to see your reaction. I don't want you to spoil anything accidentally.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, so Ezra is going to have a great deal of difficulty not turning to the dark side. Calling it now.
He's already dipped in. I don't
know about where he will end. Like, I don't know if he's going to end up being good or bad. I can see both. I can see him actually staying on the good guy side, but I guarantee you there will be an arc about his struggle with not caving into the dark side. John, when you're not going to give anything away, please come back.
Well, he's got a lot of similarities to this, like Anakin did. Anakin was younger, but see here, I mean, he may even be more analogous to Luke, where he's coming into these Jedi learning much later in life. He's already got he's lost his attachments, so he's got feelings about these things.
But
he's got fear and hatred. All of these things are part of him because he hasn't had all of that formal training to do away with it. So he and Kanan did have that conversation too about, he sensed a lot of fear in him, which is
I know my Star Wars, I know my Star Wars philosophy.
Yeah.
I don't know which way it's going to go. And, obviously this is just me going, I think this, but man, he's got to have a real struggle with the dark side.
Yeah, when he pulled up that creature, out of the darkness, that big giant asteroid creature to, when the Inquisitor had he and Kanan cornered on the asteroid there, that represented a lot of his affinity with that, the darker, it had a taste of darkness to it. If he wasn't like force choking anybody or calling down lightning, but that was a pretty dark kind of.
Well, he had to go somewhere. He had the feelings in order that he had to tap into to dominate that thing. That had to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
And also in his defense, like Kanan hadn't broached the topic of the dark side.
You're right.
So, no, he had not. No warnings to that, and it might have been some of guilt on his part, because.
Well, Kanan even says himself at the end of that episode, "I'm going to stop trying to teach you, and teach you."
Yeah. Yep, you're gonna learn this. I'm going to see to it.
His lightsaber is cool.
Yeah, it's very unique. I like that. It reflects a lot of himself too, as a good lightsaber should.
Yeah, and the fact that it doubles as both a lightsaber and
a blaster.
A blaster, yeah.
Especially since they're still trying to keep that Jedi Padawan thing on the down low.
Yeah, not many people know
that masking going on.
Can I just say too? I didn't think I was gonna like the skinny lightsabers, but they work. They work for me. They really do. Because the art style is different enough that the lightsabers in this show are very thin.
Yeah,
like the light beam itself.
And I mean, and like I said, the whole sort of animation style of the show is based on, the Ralph McQuarrie arc. Even if you look at Darth Vader, his mask is very much more in the style of Ralph McQuarrie's drawings of Vader.
I mean, he's really only got the one shot, and I was too busy focusing on the red lenses to notice much else. Because I'm just like, that's my man right there. Obviously, this guy right here. Well, I've got the bearded Vader, but still.
This guy?
Yeah, that guy right there.
That guy there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
this guy right here.
That guy right there.
And talking about villains, and you guys catch that it was Jason Isaacs who did the voice of the Inquisitor. Who also
I did not catch that, but
who also did the voice on season 1 of Avatar as the general.
Admiral Zhao.
Admiral, yeah, and obviously he's well known as a baddie across many different things, from Harry Potter to the Patriots and lots of other stuff.
Lucius Malfoy. I forget that sometimes that Lucius Malfoy is also Admiral Zhao.
And I also want to point out, let me
is there anything else anybody wants to say about Ezra before we just kind of before we just open it up fully?
Yeah,
he's a great character. Like, I actually ended up liking him more than I anticipated.
He definitely got better
in the beginning. I really came to care about the crew. Obviously, as story progresses and as you're hanging around people, you'll come to find the things about them you like. But yeah, he grew on me a lot more than I anticipated in one season.
Good. I'm actually very happy to hear that, because I think it's sort of it varies a lot as far as what people think of Ezra, especially in season 1. So I'm glad you guys like him, and you guys are.
And as long as we're casting people for the live action, can I get like a Semitic person to play Ezra? Because I want that too.
Yeah.
Ezra is a Hebrew name.
and I
And
feel like he's drawn that way as
I
well.
feel like he's, like his complexion
Hmm.
suggests that to me. I would love that.
Yep, yep. His facial features, just I feel like that's probably accurate.
Right
I
on.
mean, not to be putting labels on anything, but
Right,
I
but
like
like
we can see it for sure.
the last thing I want is, you know what this show needs? Another straight white man.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's I'm not there anymore. I'm just like, okay, there are straight white men in the world. I am one. You know,
Hmm.
but yeah,
Yeah, and there's some
I
great actors out there to choose from. So, yeah.
I just
yeah,
want to see. I just want to see humans don't have to look just like me.
I I will say, because I'm trying to think of things I'd like to say about Ezra that don't pertain to later seasons. But I will say the thing that's sort of left dangling this season is that you know, what's going on with Ezra's parents, because
Mm.
Hera has that talk with
We still don't know.
Yeah, with the
yeah,
Rhodian.
We
yeah,
still don't
and
know what was said.
Yeah. And I like that he kind of got to go off on his own like mission, for the team. Like this is a job only Ezra can do because the rest of you are too old. And
Right?
he makes acquaintances, that I think they have paid
Yeah,
off
that
their
kid's
sweat
got to come.
already,
That other
and
kid.
that kid's going to come back.
Oh, also the
oh,
other kid being Dante Bosco.
yeah, I was just about to say. Yeah, speaking of Avatar voices,
Yeah.
like I was recognizing him early on while rewatching, and then by the end of the episode, I was like, "Oh my god, it's Zuko!"
So
Yeah, that's a
I
voice.
kind of got a feeling we're going to see some more.
Yeah, we'll see more of the one kid. I don't know that we'll see more of Dante Bosco's character. We might. That's one of the nice things about the way Star Wars handles this type of story is that they set up characters and maybe they'll come back, maybe they won't, but they're always there if they want to come back to them.
Hmm. Yeah, the character I'm speaking of is the one that is at the the
Yeah,
academy looking for his sister.
Yeah, the one
Yeah.
that got transferred to officer candidate school or whatever.
Right, and the other candidate is like possibly force sensitive, so they got him away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, out of the clutches of the Inquisitor. So we might see some things from the cadet, soon to be.
I would imagine we will.
I do want to take
meet up again.
I do want to take the time to just give a shout out to one of the other characters of the season, who may for this season just appear to be sort of a more stereotypical baddie, but he's got a lot of really great material coming up, and that's the character of Agent Callus.
I was gonna say it's gotta be Callus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's some really interesting stuff for his character on the horizon,
Also,
and he's actually played by the actor. I'm gonna butcher this. David Oyelowo.
Oyello. I know who you're talking about from.
He played Martin Luther King Jr. in God, what's the movie called?
Okay, that's.
Um,
I don't know, John. Can't help you.
well, I don't know the movie. It was from just a few years ago. It's Selma.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce his name either, unfortunately.
Yeah, apologies. It's one of those things. The W and the L's kind of make it a tongue twister for me, so I do apologize for that. But yeah, he played Martin Luther King Jr. in Selma, and like like I said, might not seem like it from just this one season, but he's a fantastic character, and he's going to have some good stuff coming up. And also something that I noticed watching this season is we get the name Governor Price a lot, who she does not actually appear in this season. I don't believe she appears next season either, but she's a character that will come into play. I just had forgotten that she was name dropped so many times during this first season. So that's a character to look forward to in the future as well.
So can I just say, like one character we haven't mentioned at all is what's her name? Minister Susie?
No, Minister Tua, who
Tua.
I really feel sorry.
What's an ambassador?
No, minister.
Minister. Like,
I honestly really feel sorry for her because
I feel bad.
She really is just sort of a mid-level politician who's sort of, tasked with keeping order in, on Lothal. And yes, she's part of the Empire, so not good. But I don't get I've never gotten the feeling that she's any kind of true believer or anything.
She's just doing what she feels like she's got to do.
Yeah.
Okay, but like, I got the hots for her a little bit. Okay, just a little bit. I think it's the tall hat. Anyway,
I don't know what to say to that.
Yeah, I'm glad I have left you all speechless.
Yeah. But I think it's one of those things where they're far out, the less contact they have with the hierarchy in the core worlds or what have you, and they're like, okay, I'm running this planet for the Empire. We got this quota to meet. We've got to do this, and so long as they pay their taxes, get the supplies out, they're going to be left alone to live somewhat-ish normal lives. So anything that is going to rock the boat, draw Imperial attention, she's so low down on the totem pole, she's got friends or allies or that politically savvy. If anything goes wrong, obviously it's going to come down on her. And I don't think she realized the ramifications of what that could mean until she's like, oh, you're going to have to go kind of answer for what's happened to the big guys, knowing full well, say, if I go, I'm never coming back. Nobody will remember my name if I go to this meeting.
I'll remember your name.
I'm sure you're will.
Not. I'll remember you.
Yeah, well, you can have her tattooed onto your bicep.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get her tattooed on my left butt cheek.
Okay.
So we've only got a few minutes left. This is your
and
last
with that,
chance. Yes, we've only got a few minutes left, so this is your last chance. Me tattooing Minister Tua onto my left butt cheek.
Okay, it's just like.
Well, you can get Devo on the other one.
Let's cast the other for you guys. Well, what are your hopes, your dreams for season 2?
Okay. Obviously, I know it's centered on Ghost Crew. I know there is a character from Rebels that I'm very excited to see that we haven't seen yet.
Mm-hmm.
I know that this character is in the show at some point. I actually thought he might have been a larger part of the story as a whole, but I would love to see that. Give me more Ahsoka working with the Ghost Crew. That is what I want the most. And Darth Vader and that. Okay, so that's obvious, but those are characters that are more established to me as well. For the Ghost Crew itself, I want to see Kanan's continue to struggle as he gets into more and more complicated stuff with Ezra. I want to see Ezra struggle as he comes to grips with his fears and doubts. Yeah, I mean, that's really, again, I'm a Jedi guy. I'm a Force powers guy. That's what I love the most about Star Wars. So that's what I want to see. I want to see their explanation of the Force, how Kanan talks about it, how Ezra learns to wield it, and ultimately how badass is Ahsoka at this point in her career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at John just bouncing in his seat. He knows what he's going to see. So what I'd like to see is, obviously we got a taste, we got a little Ahsoka interaction, and her actually stepping out of the shadows and becoming more of a part of the ghost interactions is great. Also, Bail Organa, hey, stepped right out of the history books right onto the page here, saying very clearly, I am a focus point for this rebellion. It's good to see him doing that, because I mean, we know from history, our history lessons, that he was very much a part of that, and he raised a very fine daughter to continue that tradition. Maybe no, we won't. I can't possibly even think about seeing baby Leia. But seeing having Ahsoka interact with Sabine, because they have that tie to Mandalore. They have that deep tie to Mandalore, and it struggles together. Seeing those two interact, with regard to that would be great. As far as from like a outside of carrying on the rebellion and what have you, or lighting the spark that sparks the flame and whatever sets fire to the galaxy.
I'm with you, Nessie. I'm with you on this one. That is like at the very beginning, I said I'm loved where the show is positioned to go, because we know what's going to be happening in just a few years. The original trilogy is going to be happening in just a few years, and I am so excited for that build-up. So excited, and
yeah,
I mean, Princess Leia ought to be in this show at some point.
They should be, the twins should be about 15.
Yeah. Like we could see either one of
Same
them.
age as Ezra, right?
Obi-Wan, in theoretically, we could see Obi-Wan.
One thing I didn't give a shout out to was you could tell it was like
We've seen Lando. We could see Han.
It was a little something for Clone Wars fans in that pilot episode where we see Obi-Wan in the holocron giving the message out to all the Jedi, and it was James Arnold Taylor doing the voice. That was, and that was great. I remember when I saw that, I was like, okay, this is a little taste of Clone Wars for those of us who are sad, about that show's fate. But yeah, I don't know. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, I want to see teenage Leia and her dad, and with the droids or what have you. I want to maybe just a glimpse. I might not get it. That's my hope. I wouldn't get that much fan service, I'm sure.
One more thing I'm looking forward to.
And Wookiees.
Okay, but one more thing I'm looking forward to is not C-3PO and R2-D2. Like, they managed to get them in an episode and make me not roll my eyes too much. So let's quit while we're ahead.
But they had a very important mission.
They did.
If I can be allowed this one spoiler, sure. I do believe, I can't say for certain, but I believe that's their only appearance in the show.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't hate that. I mean, I love those characters, but I really did not love them in the Clone Wars because they made them they made them the comic relief characters, and fully comic relief.
I will say it made a lot of sense to me that they were in, it was the first episode after the 2-part premiere, because something they were hitting very hard, especially in the opening episodes of the show, were hit that original trilogy nostalgia. We're getting ready to come out with The Force Awakens in a year or so. this is what we're all about. We're really all about original trilogy stuff, and so it made sense to me that they had an episode right off the bat with those two. So,
well, anyway, that's my feelings on it. I really did enjoy it. It has not reached high levels for me, but it's the beginning of the story.
We're gonna have a lot to talk about.
I'm sure we are. Like, season 4 is just gonna be like, oh, woo.
No. I mean, season 2.
Okay, cool. Season 2.
A lot to talk about.
Okay. Nice. All right. Well, you know what though? It is 8:00 Eastern time, and that means we're done for the evening. So I don't know if you have last minute thoughts, go ahead and share them. But I think we kind of nailed it on our wrap up time.
I'll just say personally, like, I don't think I'd revisited season 1 since I originally saw it. And I actually got, like, I enjoyed it when I watched it that first time, but I really got a lot out of it on this viewing, just because I did see things that were set up, but also I'm so much more in love with all these characters than I was on my first time, through this season. So it was just a lot of fun, going back and seeing all the beginning stages of these arcs and just spending time with them.
Right on.
Yep.
Well, Jolie says it best when she says Zoom ! I will probably be appearing on the Zoom very shortly. You guys know where that is. And if you don't know what she's talking about, if you're like, what? What's that? We have an ongoing Zoom call that we do all the time. You want to join it? Send me an email to this address right here, we3dragons@gmail.com, and we'll take care of it from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
I will just say, like, it gives me so much joy because, I know even now you guys say that, you're not that crazy about the early seasons of Clone Wars, but especially like I know when we first did that first stream, and you guys were kind of iffy on the whole thing, and so just the fact that as we were finishing up Clone Wars, I remember, Steven, you were like, oh, I want to go on to Rebels. It's like, it's so exciting for me that you guys are into all this stuff now and really
getting there. And I was telling my little brother earlier, like, just as a Star Wars fan in general, like, I'm glad that I'm getting into the deeper canon, I'm not going to go read the books in the comic books, and I'm not going to do that. I know I'm not, but I'm glad I'm getting caught up on these animated series because they're a really big part of the canon. Again, Ahsoka comes from the Clone Wars animated series, and she's easily one of my favorite Star Wars characters.
Yeah.
Just period. All right. So we'll come back for season 2 of Rebels. I don't know. It'll probably be a month or so. We're got other things lined up, but I know John, I know Nessie, you don't have anything scheduled on your separate channels at the moment. Nessie, I know you got a lot of live stuff, moving halfway across the country and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. John, I know you've been ill a little bit last couple weeks, but yeah, so I know you guys don't have anything, but you both get next weekend off because I'll be having an I Know That Nerd with the fantastic Lady Gwen from Radio Westeros. Come back and join us for that. The week after that, John and I will be at each other's throats, and Nessie will have to keep us grounded and centered because we are going to have a conversation called Why Canon Matters and Why It Doesn't. And
it doesn't.
It does, but it doesn't. Yeah, I know. That's going to be the debate. Come and prepare to, like, tell us both to shut up already about it. Nessie is going to be the moderator yet again.
I seem to be doing that often, but sure, I can handle that. I mean, yeah. I'm the mediator here amongst.
Yeah, you're really good at it. I know you are really good at it. All right. So good night, lovely people. Come join us on the Zoom if you want. I'm going to be there shortly. And yeah, until next time, you know what it is. Peace. And be excellent to each other.